Okay, people. So I have the pleasure of talking to Saeyoon Jeong. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
fantastic. Yes. Okay. Now, Seong is a writer, director, producer. She's multifaceted, multi-talented, and has a new film out right now. Well, hitting the festival circuit, right? Your latest film, your feature directorial debut, Nyctophobia.
Yes, that's correct. Nyctophobia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a really interesting film. It's a really interesting film, and the approach which you've utilized, right? Like, but yeah, you've been making shorts since what, 2014, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So, what was it about this film and now? Like, why was now the right time to birth this into the world?
Um, I mean, so basically the movie is partially based on my own experience related to nyctophobia. So, like nyctophobia is a type of anxiety
Mm,
which can create sleep issues. So, like an insomnia and sleep paralysis. But when it comes to young children, mostly they have it. They have nyctophobia. They don't know what it's called, but they have nyctophobia, and then they grow out of it as they become adults. So that happened to me as well. So I had some sleep paralysis and experienced some moments where I had insomnia, but I got out of it when I became an adult. But somehow, for some reason, it came back during the pandemic. So
right.
yeah, so it was an intense experience, and I really wanted to know how many people were actually suffering from maybe like similar thing to mine or the same thing as mine. So I did some research, and surprisingly, a majority of the people uh, in the world were actually suffering from acrophobia or something related to anxiety or
Mm,
sleeping issues. So I wanted to explore the topic um, so I would understand acrophobia myself. So I didn't even know what it was called, to be honest. I did more research and I was like, okay, so this is acrophobia. So sleep paralysis, insomnia, not being able to sleep maybe in night. So this is acrophobia. But at the same time, I wanted to like maybe raise people's awareness of what nyctophobia was about actually.
mm,
So maybe they could feel like they aren't the only ones who are suffering from nyctophobia or sleep issues. Because for some reason, it's quite challenging to talk about anxiety or nyctophobia, like because it's hard to articulate when you go through sleep paralysis or insomnia, like you just try to brush it off, like it's fine. I had a bad sleep last night, so that's fine. Or you don't even know how to talk about your nightmare, so you just try to move on. But I think that it's important to like maybe discuss and to address like what's happening to you. So if it gets worse, then you should try to get some help or have some tools so that you know how to deal with it.
Well, I think when it comes to sleep, right?
Mm-hmm.
You say to someone, "Oh man, I had terrible sleep," then they'll be like, "Oh, well, go to bed earlier."
Yeah.
Right? Or, "Oh, have you done exercise before going to bed?" Or,
Yeah.
"Have you tried sitting in a dark room? Just don't watch TV just before you go to bed." Like, they'll hit you with so many different things, and you'll be like,
Yeah.
"I've done all of those, and it's
Yeah.
still what it is." And then it's just like, "Oh, man, been having terrible dreams," and they're like, "Oh, well, that might be because of what's going on in your life." What I mean? That
Mhm.
everyone's always got something, some little
Yeah.
bit of supposed wisdom on why you can't sleep.
Yeah.
And so I think it gets kind of brushed under the table, right? It's just like, it will improve. But it like because yeah, as a kid, I remember I used to have these crazy dreams of being like stuck in my bed, right? So I couldn't
Yeah.
walk, I couldn't move, but the bed had wheels on it, and it would like travel around. But then, like, I'd be being chased by monsters and
Yeah.
things like that. And then the bed is moving mad slow. And I'm just like, yo, come, they're gonna come, they're coming, they're coming. Like, just have crazy dreams like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I kind of stopped sleeping. I was just getting like an hour, 2 hours, something. And it hasn't improved. That's still what I do. Like no longer weird dreams
Yeah.
that I can remember anyway. But 3 hours max. That's basically my sleep right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. 3 hours or 4 hours.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
No more. No more
No
than that.
more.
Yeah. And sometimes a lot less. Like
Yeah.
sometimes it's an hour. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a weird thing. But this was the first time I've ever heard the phrase necrophobia. I've never
Yeah.
like when Henry sent me your film, and I was like, wait, what's this word? Like, how do you what does it mean? Like, what is it? Is this like some
Yeah.
you know what I mean, Egyptology type of thing? Is it some myth? Is it a fantasy? Like, what
Yeah.
is this? And then yeah, it's the fear of the dark, which I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, interesting.
Yeah. Well, actually, there's a full list of phobias. They are all anxiety. So,
Mm,
for example, like, for people who are afraid of public speaking, I think it's called claustrophobia. So there's like a term for that. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but at least you know what you have. So you're not alone, like there are other people who suffer from it, and like it's recognized. So once you identify what you have, like like you are not insane.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah,
not alone. So there's a sense of comfort coming from there.
yeah. No, definitely, definitely. Um, but yeah, so you were looking into this thing, like you found out what it was.
Yeah.
So once that has happened, where does then the film come from? Where does then the idea of this story?
Yeah. I mean, like, so, as I mentioned, it was partially based on my own experience, but also I did lots of research. So I actually read some articles about some people who are actually on the extreme spectrum of nyctophobia. So based on what they said, they feel like they're levitating
Mm,
while they're going through sleep paralysis. So there's some monsters, and there's like all these weird figures just sitting on top of them, trying to like choke them. So
mm.
I had
Yeah, I've heard
maybe a
that.
similar experience once or twice. So when you go through sleep paralysis, like there's a figure, like unknown figure, like just a really scared figure just coming to you and then sitting on top of you and trying to like choke you. And it's not fatal. It's just in your body, in your head,
Mm,
and it's just like a I don't know, like a miscommunication between your head and your body.
yeah.
So yeah, but it can be really scary. So I wanted to explore that through my movie. So from the get go, I didn't want any dialogue. I wanted to make it visual and emotional. So like my audience would feel what my main character goes through, basically. So so I wanted to. So at the same time, like I wanted to show with the stages of like sleep that my main character was going through. So like I built about four worlds for my main character. So her reality, her inner world, her dream world, also her subconscious world. So all these worlds were portrayed, depicted in different colors. So
Mm,
reality is like black and white. her inner world is depicted in pastel colors, like a light, um, like a interesting colors, so pink and like a light green. So you kind of see like calmness or composure, like especially when she goes through the forest, when she revisits the garden or the beach. Is which are the places where she used to visit with her family when she was younger. And then her dream world is basically is a danger, also discomfort. It's the world where she has no control over her body. So I
Yeah.
wanted to show that side of her, I guess, struggle. Like in general, when you have a dream, a nightmare, you have no control. You're like a puppet. Maybe you can see what you're going through as an observant, but there's no control over that. So I wanted to show that. By like making everything black and white with the isolated color red. So like those moments when you see like the red color popping up are actually the representation of like a real danger or like a discomfort that my main character goes through. And then her subconscious world is the world where she meets her actual nightmare, known as dark
Mm.
figure. So that's also black and white, like a really dark black and white. So you know the difference when you see all these different worlds. But near the end of the movie, all these different worlds are colliding, like blurring the lines. So like you don't know which one is reality, which one is her dream, which one is her subconscious world. So
Yeah, because we get that whole bed thing,
mhm.
and it's kind of like that whole kind of inception situation, and as you say, everything's blending, and
Yeah,
you're like, wait, where are we? What's happening? Oh, it was really interesting. The approach was really interesting, and then the color palettes that you use and the soundscape, right?
um,
It all just came together to give you this real kind of visceral experience. It was fascinating. I really enjoyed this film and the way you
thank
told
you.
this story, because it's not your typical story, you know, but there is a story here. It's just not the a linear one that we normally find, but it's fascinating, and we're just watching the way Liz navigates everything.
Yeah.
It's like yeah, like with because there's so much happening and all these different threads. How did you like structure it? Did you storyboard? Like, what did you utilize to go, okay, we're gonna go from
Um,
here to here, we'll go
yeah.
there. This is how it's flowing.
Yeah, so I wrote a script. The script wasn't complete because I knew that I was going to use, visual effects and graphics, but I wanted to have like the framework of what I wanted to build for the movie. Um, but so yes, the dream sequences, especially the disco scene, also the jazz bar scene, the puppet scene, they're all shot during the shoot. They are different locations, but
Mm.
definitely they were shot chronologically. Um, and I feel like those scenes were the most fun parts during the production. So the production wasn't or the shoot itself wasn't that difficult. I mean, there are moments where we had to shut down the production because of COVID. We had to go out to shoot during the COVID, the pandemic. So we had to shut down, the production for a while, and we had to go out. And then also there was a snowstorm, for a while, so we had to stop the production until everything was okay. But yeah, I mean, but definitely we shot chronologically. So we began with a reality sequence, and then after that we went to the beach. It was actually a real beach. It's not graphics
Uh,
or VFX. We actually went to the beach. It was a real location. It was really really cold, because right after the storm. So yeah, but we went there and then we shot the whole sequence. So yeah, and then we added visual effects afterwards.
Right, right. Ah, yeah, no, the disco stuff, all the dancing stuff looked like it was fun. And it was interesting because I'm watching it and there's this creepiness about like a lot of the film. You have this ominous feeling, you know, like something is just out of reach.
Yeah,
But then we hit like this disco and these dancing, and you find yourself smiling. You're just like, but there's still something out there. But I'm smiling. Like, what's going on right now? It was definitely of different emotions watching it. But yeah, it looked right, those bits looked fun. When you were casting for Liz, was there, did you mention like, oh, you need to know how to dance?
yeah. I mean, I talked to her after the casting was done, but she was great. I mean, I think she has a theater background, so she already knew how to dance and how to sing. So like I had a choreographer on set, but it took about maybe 3 or 4 hours for her to learn the moves and whatnot. So yeah, so it wasn't really challenging for her, I guess. But yeah, but because of that, we were able to shoot like without any delay. So that was really good actually. So I really enjoyed working with her. She Yeah, I mean, I had auditions for about like a month or so to find the right person for the
Mm.
project. But definitely she got the material, and then she understood the character, also the story. So so I knew that she was the right person for the project.
Yeah, I mean, Olivia Clari Nice, she, oh man, what she does with this role, because, you know, a lot of time it's just her,
Yeah,
right? Playing off of things that she might be seeing
yeah,
or experiencing. So the facial expressions, right? The way she conveys these different emotions is fantastic.
yeah,
Because you buy that she's scared, you buy that she's angry, you buy these things, and she really just embodies it all. It was just really a wonderful thing to see. And then you've got the different color palettes. You've just got the way you've dressed these scenes and everything like that. So it is this visual experience, right? It's
yeah,
just, as I say, it's this really interesting way you decided to tell this story. And for your featured directorial debut, right? It doesn't look like it's necessarily the easiest of things to do, because I think when people decide to make a horror as their feature directorial debut, right, you can go, okay, so there's all these other indie horrors I can look at
mhm.
as a template. But with this, what things can you look at as a template? If you're like, oh, well, let's look at the other film that decided to use monochrome and do all like one of the only other films I can think of is Schindler's List.
Oh, yeah.
That is like black and white, but with select things in color. I feel there was something else maybe last year or earlier this year that did something similar, but I can't think of what the hell it was. But it's not many, right? It's
I
a
know, I know.
handful of films.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I love directors who can use colors to portray or express their like a maybe passion or their stories. So I like Wes Anderson. Like I like the color palettes that he can use, and his movies are very quirky. So I love his movies in general. Also Alejandro Inarritu. It's a different type of movie, movies that he makes. But like early on, I think his movies kind of like experimental, or his movies didn't have like linear stories. Yeah,
Mm.
they're all non-linear, and I love those types of movies. So yeah, so I guess I watched those movies and I wanted to make something unique, but obviously influenced by the combinations of their styles. I mean, yeah, I mean my movie is a horror movie, but in a way, but when it comes to horror movies, I mean, first of all, it's really hard for me to watch them because I want to go to sleep at night.
Yeah.
So so it's
I
really
feel you on
challenging
that
to watch horror movies. Yeah. So yeah. It's and also it's really challenging to make horror movies, and I don't know like how directors can make horror movies. I mean, I really admire them, but for me, like the right way to explore the topic, the right way to make a movie or tell a story about Nyctophobia is this format. So, like a visual storytelling using color palettes, also without any dialogue. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I When did you kind of fall in love with storytelling? Because
um,
you've got, this unique style, right? This unique voice. So it's just like, yeah, when did you kind of find that, what, I love this kind of thing? And the influences, you mentioned Wes Craven and the other stuff, but, growing up, what were those first things that kind of drew you in?
my family, especially my dad, he loves movies. Even nowadays, he goes to see movies, like in theaters. So I was influenced by him. Also, his brothers, also my cousins. So I often went to see movies with them. Um, but actually, when I was younger, I used to watch like foreign movies more than like American movies or movies from the UK, I guess. So early on, I used to watch movies made by, I don't know if you know this director, Wang Kar-wai. So like he was great. He's so great, but when he was younger, he was known as one of those amazing indie filmmakers, basically. So his style is a little bit similar to Alejandro Inarritu. So non-linear, no budget at all, and
Mm.
some movies are only shot outside, like no inside in the indoor shots, only outdoor shots. So I was influenced by directors like that, I guess. So but I didn't even know I wanted to go to maybe film school. I wanted to work in the film industry until I went to we were I was pushed into going to law school actually by my parents.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I didn't want that. That was not my passion. I couldn't see myself working as a lawyer,
Yeah.
being a lawyer. So and then I always loved the movies, and I always wanted to find something that could be more creative. So that's why I decided to go to film school. So yeah, that was the maybe beginning of me maybe understanding storytelling or like being able to create stories that could actually maybe represent like the people like whose voices are not really heard, or I could actually create like stories that can actually maybe yeah send or maybe raise people's awareness of certain social or even political issues. So that was my beginning of like my journey of becoming maybe a filmmaker, indie filmmaker. basically.
Mm, okay. Now, what do your parents feel about now? Right? You're
I
a
mean,
film.
they are very supportive now, but initially, my dad was okay, but my mom was really upset. And I think she cried for about 10 days, before accepting the fact that I wanted to go to film school. Uh, but she's okay
Mm.
now. She's very supportive.
Well, you've got a feature film out, right? You're at festivals. That's huge. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes,
there's a lot of people that talk about doing this kind of thing, and you've done it. So, yeah, I'm sure your parents must be really proud of you right now, and you should be proud of yourself as well.
thank you.
You know, like, but being a fan of films, right? Being a fan of films, and we see the structure of a typical film, right? And I imagine at film school, you're told, right? It's three acts, right? You do this at the start, this in the middle, this at the end. This is the
Hmm.
approach, right?
Hmm.
Use these tools, use these templates.
Yeah,
But you've decided to do this, right? So
I know.
what what kind of gave you the confidence to, what I mean, just take that leap of faith and try a different approach?
I think like my movie is like against all the things taught by me film school. So like something that you shouldn't do when you make a movie. But I mean, like when I was making the movie Nyctophobia, like I wanted to make it. I wanted to make something that was meaningful during the pandemic. Because I saw my friends, also colleagues, leaving the industry, and I didn't even know, what was going to happen in the future.
Mm,
I didn't even know if the film industry would be intact after the pandemic. So I wanted to make something like I was like, even if this is the last movie, I want to make it. So I wanted to make it. So I didn't really care much about like getting like a nice reception or like getting into film festivals. I just wanted to make this movie. So I kept like having all these images in my head. I wanted to write them on a piece of paper, and I wanted to create something that was uh, really visual. So before this movie, I already made two experimental movies. They're short movies, but I already made them to see if I could make a feature movie.
yeah.
So yeah, so I did some practice because before this movie, before those two experimental short movies, my style was different. But at the same time, maybe I feel like I was trying to find my own voice. Because before then, maybe I tried to you know um, replicate maybe or try to follow what might work in the industry or what might not work. So
Mm,
so writing the story in the way I thought I should write, or even like creating a character that I thought would be accepted by the industry in a better way.
yeah.
So I was like kind of like trying to create something that I couldn't really resonate with. I couldn't really understand. But for this movie, yeah, finally, I feel like maybe the pandemic was a blessing in disguise for me because I was able to find my own voice in a way, and I was able to make a movie that I could really understand in terms of the character, in terms of the story. So, so I think there's a thing. There's a big deal for me. There's a big thing that I've actually learned
Mm,
also, from the pandemic. So,
yeah. I mean, yeah, that's fascinating, right? I think there's, like with everything, I mean, you speak to musicians, you speak to
yeah.
actors, directors, writers, and everyone will say, right, that they're in, when they first start,
Mhm.
that they are aping their idols.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? They'll be like, oh, I really like this person's art. I look art style.
Yeah.
Like you see it a lot with artists, comic book artists
Mhm.
especially, that they may have trained under a certain artist, right, or just been a fan of, and their early work looks very similar to that person.
Yeah.
But then as they develop, they find their own voice, and then their style just goes, pow, and it's this completely different thing, right?
Yeah.
And directors have said it, other writers have said it. Start a Brooklyn Film Festival, right?
Mhm.
You had the screening. All right, you were the closing night film, which is huge, right? That's a lot of confidence. You know what I mean? Because it's just they've had this big festival, right? So they're not picking a dud to close. They want people to be like, oh man, this was great. And oh, they saved the best till last. So the fact that they chose you for the closing night is huge, right? But yeah, so how was that experience, right? How was that? How
Yeah.
did that feel?
It was really good. I mean, the reaction from the audience was interesting, was really good. And then actually, I got to talk to some of the audience members after the screening, but also they shared shared the same experience, or some people were suffering from anxiety before, so they actually came to me and talked about their own experience, and they're talking about certain scenes in the movie that they could really relate to. So I think overall, yeah, I mean, it was really surprising because, like I said, I didn't know what to expect when I was making the movie. But yeah, like it was a really interesting and like a rewarding experience when I was at the film festival, and I got to meet like a really interesting people. So yeah, so it's been really good. It's been wonderful.
So was that the first time it had screened to a large audience?
I mean, my movie was screened. It premiered at the San Francisco Indie Film Festival.
Okay.
So yeah, so that was like in January. Um, but yeah, but I guess yeah, like if you talk about like a physical screening, this was the first time.
Oh, so January was that remote?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They
Right.
actually had a hybrid model. So my movie was on their platform during the festival period. So
Uh, okay. So yeah, this is the first time
mhm.
that's man, yeah, that's something. That's something. Right. But because the film is different, right? It's not your typical film. How, like, what I mean, what was your kind of viewpoint on feedback, right? On those reactions? Because I imagine people could view it and just be like, wait, what was that? Like, this isn't the type of film I normally see. You know what I mean? So because you're not used to this style, this format, it could throw people, right? So the reactions could be adverse,
Yeah,
right? Which doesn't mean it's bad. It's just people aren't used to what they're seeing. You know what I mean? So as a filmmaker, and as someone making their debut, how do you kind of balance that with, you know what I mean? Like your self-esteem, your confidence, because you know what I mean, you don't want that to be dented. You don't want to, but yeah, you've made something completely different. So
yeah,
did you think about that?
yeah. I know. I mean, like, I, in a way, I mean, like, basically, when I was younger, I played instruments. So I was in the classical music world for a while. I mean, for about 10 years.
Mm.
So I received lots of feedback from my teachers, also my, like, bandmates and classmates. So, in a way, I'm used to like receiving feedback. So, like, sometimes I expect the worst after. my work is out. So I'm okay, like getting negative feedback. That's okay. Like I know that not everybody can love my movies or love my work. So that's okay. And then when people come to see me and then they talk about my movie or movies for the matter in a good way. So if they give me positive feedback, I really appreciate that. So yes, I can make the balance. Like just somebody gives me like a bad reviews or negative feedback doesn't mean that like my movies or my work they're all bad. So like that's my attitude basically.
Mm, okay. Well, that no, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Now, with like, was your first short film The Last Day of Summer?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so in making that film and those first few films,
Mhm.
what was the kind of style? What was the approach that you utilized for those ones?
I mean, yeah, that was a long time ago. For that movie, The Last Day of Summer, that movie is actually about apartheid in South Africa. So my producer, also writer, she wanted to go to South Africa, but I thought that it would be like too expensive to go there. My approach is to save money and like especially locations. You
Mm,
can find good locations in your area or I don't know, like in your state. So unless it's really necessary, you don't want to travel to foreign countries because you have to spend all the money.
yeah.
So like I ended up like shooting it in Central Park of New York City.
Okay.
I found a really good spot, so nobody knew like it was shot in Central Park when they saw my movie. So that was my approach, and definitely the color scheme. I mean, it was mostly like a light yellow and beige, but I really wanted to have the color scheme for that movie. But getting the location or locations for the matter was the most challenging part for that movie because of the specific period that happened in the 1970s.
Mm,
Also, the story takes place in South Africa. So I need to find the right spot, for that movie. And that happened to
yeah.
be Central Park. So
Crazy. So, but that was a more traditional approach to filmmaking.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it was the traditional movie with the actors and yeah, it's a historical story. So
Mm,
yeah.
okay. So yeah, so those early shorts,
Hmm.
right? That those early, dipping toes in, you followed that traditional
Yeah.
approach. Now, do you think that kind of grounding helped you in this transition? Because you've already tried it. You'd already,
Hmm.
given the approach that your
Hmm.
professors and everything had probably
Yeah.
talked about. You'd done that, right? You knew how to make films in that style.
Mhm.
So then, what I mean, throwing the book out the window and doing something completely different, although foreign, you've got the fundamentals.
I think so. I think from those early works, also my schooling, I learned a lot about producing, and I learned a lot about making movies like based on low budget. So I really think that those early experiences, like as a young filmmaker, also even as a film student, really helped me to find my voice and then definitely I think they helped me to be able to create Nyctophobia. So I think that either you want to produce or direct, you have to know how to produce. I think that's really important.
Mm,
Otherwise you're going to spend more money, and also for many younger also indie filmmakers, they want to spend a lot of money on equipment camera,
yeah.
so they don't really care much about production design or even a costume design. they are very important for your movie or movies for the matter. But mostly for young filmmakers, they try to use like really good equipment, like camera, Alexa or Cook lenses. They're amazing, but like you actually have to have some, like a design, in the
Mm,
background. So I learned about those things, those skills, from my film school, and when I was making those traditional movies, short movies, and whatnot. So yeah, so definitely they became my foundation to move on to this type of movie, experimental movie.
right, right. Yeah, no, I think that's an interesting thing, because as you say, locations can be expensive,
Hmm.
right? Going, oh, I need to go shoot this in the Bahamas. I need to go, like, that's a lot of money you're spending,
Yeah.
buying the state of the art equipment.
Mm.
Again, do you need that? Right? Could you use something else? Right? Put the money in the things that can really impact the
Yeah.
look and feel of your film.
Hmm.
So that's yeah, where did you get that insight from? Was that from a
I mean,
mentor? Had you read something? What something?
definitely from my film school. My film school was all about indie filmmaking. So they gave us like one of the most more cheapest pieces of equipment when you're studying, when you're making short movies. So they didn't even give us any funding or anything like that. We had to go and find the funding sources. And like we had to use like really cheap equipment to make movies. And we actually, like, when I was in film school, my classmates, my friends, even me, we complained about that. Like, I don't know what they're doing. Like, we're actually using the cheap equipment to make a movie. Like, what's going on? But looking back on it, I think that was the purpose.
Mm,
So when you come out and shoot, we know how to make a movie based on low budget.
yes. Oh, for sure. Because,
Yeah,
they could give you state of the art equipment,
yeah,
right? So now you're used to using that.
yeah,
So when you come out,
yeah,
how are you getting hold of that state of the art equipment? Right. And then to use something less,
yeah,
you're gonna feel, what I mean, like lost.
mhm,
You're gonna feel like, oh, I don't know how to use this. I don't know how to navigate this. But if you start off, low budget equipment, when you get better stuff, you'll be like, oh, well, this is a breeze, right? I know how to do this. I've done it on the worst, you know what I mean? So transitioning to, better stuff, that's just a plus.
yeah,
Yeah, no, that's an in and also I feel it probably gets rid of the people that don't really want it.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Because if it's just like no budget, go make a film.
yeah,
Some people are like, "No, this is ridiculous. This is too hard. No, I'm just gonna go and do banking instead." Right? That's it. That's gonna be easier. But the people that really want to tell stories, the
yeah,
people that are so passionate, they find a way to do it.
yeah,
And yeah, that's what you did. Right?
yeah.
Nice. Like when you started the process to make this film, in your head, like what did you perceive to be the biggest challenge and what actually turned out to be the biggest challenge?
Um, the color grading. I knew
Ah,
from the beginning, from the get go, I knew that it would be a challenge. Because isolating the colors like a red and blue, I already knew it was a challenge. So I already talked to my colorist. I hired a good colorist from even before the shoot, and I talked to him every single day. But yeah, but after my editor was able to create a rough cut, when he started working, And then when my colorist sent me some samples for certain scenes, they didn't work at all. So we had to,
Oh,
yeah, restart. We had to discuss what color would be the best for this scene or that scene or this sequence or that sequence. So it took a long time to figure things out, and then yeah, I mean and then the whole process took about maybe a year. But then after that, um, like I saw like smudges, red or blue smudges popping up in some
oh man.
scenes or frames. So I had to go from frame to frame to clean up all those smudges. So that took about
Oh.
another 2 months. So it was a long process, really. Yeah.
So just the color grading part itself took a year.
Hmm. Yeah.
Man. Like going in, what did you envision? Like, did you think, oh, a couple of months, what I mean, something like that? Like, was there any inclination that it could take this long?
No. I mean, I knew it was going to take some time, especially
Mm.
in the production process, but I didn't know it could take this long, especially the color grading process, also the visual effects, VFX. I think that I had about like 800 shots, 850 shots that needed to have VFX basically. So my editor and I, we had to, yeah, extract all those shots and then send them to VFX artists. I think I used about 20 artists altogether. So, so they could work, 24/7 to make sure that they could finish the shots. Yeah.
Oh man. Oh man. Like, and throughout that process, was there any time where you just thought this isn't going to happen? Right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can get this film actually, through.
Yeah. I mean, especially when I saw all those smudges popping up in different scenes and in many different frames, whenever I was going through frame to frame. I mean, I'm a patient person, but yeah, it was very challenging, and I didn't even know if I could really finish the project. So,
So what, gave you the strength to keep on pushing? What helped keep you motivated?
because I really wanted to tell the story, I wanted to share my story with with an audience, no matter how small that audience could be. I wanted to share this my story with them. I wanted to share it, with the world, and I believed in my story. So I really also I have a really I have a really good support system. So like I talked to my mentor, I talked to my friends, also my parents, of course. So they actually helped me to stay strong throughout
Oh,
the whole
that's
process.
nice. That's really good. That's really good because, it would have been a shame if we didn't get to see this film, right? So you also have a screening at the Manhattan Film Festival on the
Mhm.
27th of June,
Mhm.
right? So, yeah, like, are you doing a Q&A at that screening or anything like that?
Well, I haven't received any information from the festival yet, so I'm not really sure if there's any Q&A session. I know that there will be a screening at Cinema Village. I think that's the name of the theater on June 27th at 7 p.m. So,
Right. Awesome. Awesome. And do you have any other dates penciled in?
uh,
Any other festivals?
yeah, actually on June 23rd, I have another screening at I think the Marina del Rey Festival. So
Okay.
that's in California. Yeah, in LA, California. So that's Sunday, this Sunday at noon. So
Interesting. Cool. Like, how have you found that process of, getting into festivals?
Um, it's difficult. Also, it's unpredictable. So, I mean, you want to get into this or that film festival, but it might not work. So you have to be patient, and I always appreciate, film festivals, being able to, look at my work and accepting it, accepting to their or into their program. So, but yeah, it's a challenge, I think, for anybody, because you don't know what's going to happen, and you have to wait until they make a decision. So
Mm,
yeah, so yeah, it's a challenge in my opinion.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is great, right? You've got a feature film. Now, I feel the question is, what what's happening next? Right? What's the next steps after this? Where does Seayoon go?
I mean, I want to keep making movies, so I am trying to create another experimental movie. But okay, it's a process. So I want to create that by using still photos. So that's my plan. But yeah, there's a lot of planning going on, going into the production, and I have to find the right cinematographer, because it's a real challenge
Mm,
to get like photos of like actors and even like supporting actors moving around. So like basically, I have to figure out how to capture those images and like get still images to create a feature film, basically.
yeah. So you're looking to make a film, a moving image
Yeah,
with still images.
yeah.
Ah, interesting. Interesting. Like, and what kind of what was the impetus for this? Like, how did this idea come to you?
I mean, I think that in the past there were some directors who were able to make movies solely based on still photos, but they're mostly short movies. So it's challenging to make a feature, using still photos. So I've seen those their works, and they're really impressive, really. So I guess I also wanted, so that's why I wanted to make. I still want to make a movie using still photos. Um, it's yeah, it's a it's gonna be a challenge, but I really want to do it. Yeah, but I'm always drawn to like something different, something quirky,
Mm,
something in yeah, like a weird. So yeah, so like that's my next, I guess, a project. That's my next challenge, like how to figure out make a feature based on still photos.
mm. And do you have the story locked down or just
Yeah,
the
I have a story. Yeah, so I still have to rewrite or revise my story, but I do have a story. So yeah, so I have to keep revising, I guess, but I do have the, I think, right story for this type of movie.
okay. Well, we wait with bated breath to be able to see your next creation, Sang. It sounds intriguing for sure.
Thank you.
All right. Well, man, I've really appreciated your time. And as I said, this was such a fascinating film. So I'm glad we had the opportunity to talk about it.
Me too.
Like, how can people keep track of everything that you're doing?
Um, I mean, I don't have social media like a like a. I know like it's better for filmmakers to have social media, but I don't have one. But I do have like social media pages for my movie Nyctophobia. So I have a Facebook page and also an Instagram page. So you can
Okay. Well, I mean,
follow my pages
yeah.
on
I
social
mean
media.
that's enough, right? Like,
Right.
if you don't have one yourself, at least you have one for your projects,
Yeah.
right? So if people want to find out the screenings and, you know, all of that kind of jazz, they can. So that's good. That's good. So, okay, people, the links will be on the website. So make sure you go and check out Nyctophobia, Nyctophobia,
Yeah.
right? On Facebook, on Instagram. And yeah, I guess you'll be updating that with all the screening information
Mm,
when other
mm,
dates arrive.
yeah.
Okay, so do that, people. And then if you are, you know, around Manhattan on the 27th of June, go see it live, right? Go experience it on the big screen. And, you know, maybe you get an opportunity to ask Seyoung a question, which would be good. All right. Well, again, thank you for your time.
Thank
I
you so
hope,
much.
and no worries at all. No worries at all. Yeah, I hope the screenings go well. And yeah, I hope that when your next project is ready to go, that you'll come by again and we can, you know, have another conversation.
Yes, yes, definitely. Thank you for
Awesome.
having me.
No problem at all. No problem at all. Thank you. All
Thank
right.
you.
Take care and all the success.
Okay,
All right.
bye.
Bye.